Our 2001 Hellcat Redeye swap Dodge Viper is a few parts away from the very first start. Stay tuned. In today's video, we're gonna get this thing fired up. It's gonna sound absolutely insane. Let's get into today's video.
It is time to replace the front brakes. So we have brand new rotors and brand new pads. Our rotors are from EBC, which you guys know we use them a lot in a lot of our builds. Oh, nice and black and coated. We got our 6 holes, and then we have our hot performance pads, which we use every once in a while, but they're extremely good. And we have them in stock. So, oh my God, they really wrap this thing. Look at this thing. They don't want this thing coming apart. Nope. All right, now I'm talking. I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna replace these things. Show you how to compare them. You have one facing down, and this one you're gonna flip the opposite way. You're gonna line up the holes. It should be perfectly aligned. And then you're gonna flip them both around. That should be the same. Now you know you have the right one. All brakes is done. The next step will be just bleed all 4 sides, and we should be done with the brakes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Hey!
Yay!
There we go.
Diablo Sport is here, boys.
For the 2. This is good because we can actually plug this in, set it up for the gauge, and then look at our gauges.
See what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the same one that we used last year for a Hellcat. So it should be an OBD2 plug to display, and it'll show us if the car starts right now, which it should. It'll show us all the gauges.
Trying to load the custom tune that Evan uploaded to the Diablo Sport tuner. Waiting for it to see it before it can be uploaded to the ECU.
Tuning, custom tuning, install tune, throtl version 1, install.
Accept and install. All right, no one touch anything electrical. It's writing the tune right now.
Woo! Let's
ready?
go!
Ready?
Yeah.
You got the tune in there? Are we going for a start?
Oh, it's when Mickey's done with this.
Well, we're going, Greg. We don't need no fire
So I'm trying to set the gauges so if it does start, I can monitor the oil pressure and the engine pressure and the IAT just to make sure that everything is legit.
Real quick, guys, August deals are live right now on throtl.com. So use promo code August Savings to save up to 15% off the entire site. And remember, every dollar you spend is 1 automatic entry to win our C6 Z06. And that build is gonna be kicking off really soon. And that's it. Let's get back to the video.
Do we have a code right now, Ricky?
Yes.
There's not a clutch. Oh no, it's cranking. So there's not a clutch switch.
So this is what it's telling me.
You already grounded it, so it'll start without it.
So car's cranking, no start yet. So we obviously missing one of the 3, right? Which is air, fuel, or spark. So one of the 3 is not happening. So we think it's spark, which it could be a bunch of different things. So we're going step by step, checking everything to make sure that everything's plugged in.
All right, Ricky. Yep. No spark.
We just confirmed that we have no spark.
Yeah, but we don't know if we have fuel still. So let's pop that rail off and see.
If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the Throtl YouTube channel and turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss an episode.
Have they ever been fired, Claire?
I don't know.
About to find out.
Yep.
All right,
Greg,
so checking.
Nada.
No spark, no fuel.
So no fuel coming out of the rail or out of the injector.
No, so we have fuel in the rail. So if I do this, so there's fuel in the rail. It's the ECU is not commanding the injectors to fire.
What's going on, bud?
We're looking at stuff, seeing what it's trying to do.
Waiting to see it when you were there.
So we've got oil pressure, the oil pressure sensor's reading, and that seems to be about it as far as sensors reading, which is, the TPS is all over the map. So what I'm trying to see is if the cam and the crank position sensor are actually reading anything. It doesn't seem to be. Cam sync state, out of state. So we got something going on in the ECU and the management system that's not having a good time. We need to figure out what it is. So the boys are checking voltage or grounds or something. They're doing something. They got voltmeters and they're poking at stuff. So we'll get it figured out here soon. Watch right here. So this is engine speed. So this is the RPM. So cranking engine speed is like 400 RPM. We're gonna see if it even moves. So it says we're not doing any RPM on the engine, and then it disconnects with the scanner. So something's not happy. So unfortunately it is late. Diablo Sport is closed and I don't think I'm gonna make any progress on getting this thing fired up. So I'm gonna move into making our shifter and I wanna surprise Ricky with it first thing in the morning.
So Quinn stayed till, I don't know, the wee hours of the morning.
I left late last night. I left late and this dude's like, I'm gonna start the shifter. And I was like, bro, like, I want like the holy grail trucker.
See? He wanted it.
Wait,
why is the
Holy Grail always up here?
Like, cause I mean, obviously,
overhead.
it'll be. But I was like, dude, I want it. He's like, what are you thinking? Like 10? I'm like, dude, like 15, 16. I don't know, something stupid, like a samurai sword type of style. I don't know, something dumb.
I made the shirt for Ricky.
I love that, and I left. He's like, I'm gonna make you shift. I'm like, all right, cool. I gotta go home. Bro, I can see it from here. There's no way. Woo! What the hell? Oh my god! Ah. Oh, dude, hell yeah. Oh, let's go, dog.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We stayed late last night till about 11 o'clock, I think, and while Quinn was making the shifter that you guys saw previously in the video, I whipped up some brackets for our intercoolers. These are gonna cool the supercharger. These are our heat exchangers from CSF. They're 2 big units and should do an adequate job keeping our supercharger nice and cool for us. Saw a lot of comments saying we need to add an after chiller for this. We ran this setup last year. I think we'll be okay. We didn't see any real terrible heat soak because we're just doing 500-foot passes. Maybe a different story if we're running quarter mile, stuff like that, and back-to-back passes, which we aren't gonna be doing. So the CSF coolers are adequate for what we're doing. I just made some quick mounts. As you can see, threw a couple dimple dies on here, make them nice and strong, and secured them to our core support. So we also made a mount in the center here that actually just clamps on, as you can see here, clamps on to the old oil cooler bar here. And picks up the coolers in the center down here. Very stable with the front of the car, fits underneath the front bumper nicely, and will provide great cooling for our supercharger.
Hope and pray at first start. One freaking wire. One freaking wire.
Wait, Will, so explain to me one more time.
Dude, all right, so there's fuses in here that there's no ignition run fuse inside of here. So I had to find another source that when I was testing with the key, it was providing 12 volts in the on position. So apparently some of those fuses, it's a quick enough release of that 12 volts during the starting that it was dropping our ECU. It was dropping the run power to the ECU. So by bypassing it and going to a constant 12 right here, which I'm cutting it off now, we said screw that fuse that was dropping power, giving it direct power. It was holding the ECU powered up during the starting process, whereas before it was letting go. So while we had the starter going, ECU saw no power.
All right, lads, what are we doing out here?
Right now we're setting up the clutch master, so now that it runs, we can start dialing in all the other little things. So we've already got the drive shaft on, we got the parking brake cables out, which is good. We actually made a list on the windshield over here. So now we're working on getting the new master cylinder in on the clutch. Then we're gonna get that whole system bled, then we're gonna bleed the brakes. And then we need to finish out the supercharger cooling system, bleed the actual cooling system, and then we'll be pretty ripe for a good drive. So we'll see, we're getting fairly close. Keep pumping, baby. Keep pumping, baby. Okay, so we're pulling the top cover of the blower back off so we can tap it and thread it for a pressure regulator. Now, most of the Dodge Hellcats and most of the newer cars have electronically controlled fuel pressure regulators, like the Cat we had last year. We ran a fuel pump booster on it, and it like modified the pressure regulation to up the voltage on the pump as well. So we don't have that. We're running like an old school, not technically old school, but just a mechanical fuel pressure regulator, which needs vacuum and more importantly, it needs boost. So when this thing is boosting, the boost pressure is getting to the pressure regulator and it's upping the fuel pressure as the boost climbs. So every pound of fuel, I think it's every pound of boost is another pound of fuel pressure, so if not more. So we're gonna tap this for a vacuum because this does not have any vacuum ports, so we can run this to a pressure regulator. I gotta take this off so we don't hose the inside of the engine with metal shavings, and then we'll tap it and we'll be done. So we figured out a good spot for our barb fitting. Originally we were going to put it on the outside of the case, which was going to suck because then you'd see it. So we're actually going to sneak it right here on the inside so you won't see it. Make it nice and clean.
Here's the finished product. It's nice and tidy.
For our next part for this build, the supercharger needs a water pump. And I am going to mount it right there where Will told me to. Right there in that little space. So there's gonna be some fiberglass cutting, trimming, and drilling some holes. I'm gonna mount this thing. But it should be fairly simple and easy. And then Will just take over doing all the hose routing after that.
So we got pretty much everything dialed in to the point where we need this thing to run and bleed. So Mickey and Will finished out the supercharger cooling system. Mickey and I finished the power steering system. Pretty much everything is ready to go. We got our fuel pressure regulator bar back on the blower and the blower is all together. So we're at the point where everything is connected and all we need to do is run it, bleed the power steering, bleed the coolant, bleed the supercharger coolant. And if everything's working correctly, it's holding temp, it's not overheating, then we're gonna put the wheels on and actually go take this thing for a test drive. So it's gonna be loud in here for a little while this thing gets up to temp and running. Because we've been pulling the motor out and all this stuff and all the boys at MagnaFlow were assembling the exhaust, it hasn't run for long on this header setup, so there might be some residual smoke from like oils on your gloves and your hands. So it might be smoking a little bit. That's pretty normal, especially for a first start build like this. So we're gonna fire this thing up, maybe put some earmuffs on and just let it run and do its thing. the cooling system is bled. It's holding temp well. We got the supercharger bled. Greg came up with the idea of putting the reservoir above the blower, and that worked out perfectly. So shout out to you, Greg.
If it didn't work, it's Greg's fault.
No, it worked.
If it worked, it's Greg's fault. If it didn't work, it was Greg's fault.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna slam the wheels on this, go bebop this thing around the parking lot, make sure it runs and drives and moves and is an actual car. So let's do that. So for now, we're just gonna put the stock ones on. We're gonna save the drag slicks for the track. Got it dialed in. Mickey spent the time. You guys remember when we first got this car? This thing was freaking out, man. But now it's like sitting perfect.
It was on a lunch break.
It was out, dude. It was out getting freaking Popeye's chicken. That's what it was doing.
Can we put the hood on now?
Yes. So this is one of the belly pans. This goes underneath the transmission. On the stock Viper, it fits. With our new T56, it sits a little bit lower than this. The frame where this lays. So we're actually going to cut a hole in it to accommodate for where the transmission is touching and get this thing back on.
The moment of truth. Will it clear? Quinn, you want to watch this?
Want to go for a little content?
Ha! You guys.
Wait, hold on. We're not down yet.
I know we're not. Hold on. Yeah! You! Yeah, sorry.
No way.
A little adjustment.
No, it's hitting. It's hitting. It's hitting like here. We're going to be able to shave that section. Dude, it's bulging.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's definitely touching. It's definitely touching.
Yeah, but it's close. All right, pull it up. Yeah, I think Greg is right.
Wait, what is it?
Cut this reinforcing rib.
This rib out?
This is the fiberglass hood. Tuck there and there. Bro, if we can squeak this under the hood, I will be so pumped. All right, well that wasn't too bad. Now we gotta check and see. Went ahead and buffed her down flat. If this fits, I'm gonna be super pumped.
All right, the Viper is done. It is running, it is driving. And I'm kind of disappointed that we fitted the hood. It was a lot of work. I'm a little sad. I wanted 2-inch.
The first thing I said was, if you guys cut this hood while I'm in Japan, I'm gonna kill you. It was the one thing that I was so excited to do on this, was make that blower stick out of the hood, but we made it fit under the hood. Which is even cooler because now this thing just looks like a regular snake.
It's cool. We could totally put the stock wheels back on and nobody would even know. So, pretty ridiculous swap. I didn't think it was gonna fit.
Yeah.
I also didn't think we were gonna get it finished as fast.
Right.
So, the next time you guys see this thing, we will be at Verona testing it, which is gonna be very cool and very soon. I didn't think we were gonna get this.
We did this in less than 2 weeks.
This is literally 2 weeks.
Yeah.
From stock Viper to finished, there's 2 weeks. So, pretty crazy. I didn't think we were gonna get it done.
No, I thought it was gonna be down to the wire. We still have a week.
Yeah, pretty
Mind
much.
you, we have other things to do. So we're gonna be split team next week.
Yeah.
So Ricky and Will got some things they need to finish up on the car, but I think our job mechanically is done here.
Yeah.